Welcome everybody to the Drop Lob Pod episode number 6. I'm your co-host Edik Prabikyan and I'm joined by
Let's go, guys. Episode number 6. I'm your other co host, Nathan, and I am ready to talk some tennis with our former D1 athlete, Coach Edick. Coach Edick, you want to take the lead today?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll take the lead and thank you for that little plug. We'll be getting
Sure.
to some NCAA news later, but first and foremost, the season is winding down, but we did have action this past week at the Davis Cup with Men's Davis Cup with Italy taking out Spain in the final. Berrettini and Ciboli were the big contributors to their team. In the semis, there was a incredible match where Ciboli won 7-6 in the third, 17-15 over Belgium, over Zizou Bergs with match points out the wazoo. So talk to me about that tournament. Obviously, Italy just won 2 times in a row. Are they the team to beat next year? And can anybody challenge them?
Yeah, absolutely. Italy is the team to beat. Very impressive back-to-back victories. They were the odds-on favorite by a decent amount going into that tournament. As a better, also as a better, I had the pleasure of having Zizou Berg's money line in that match. That was quite a spectacle. And if I'm gonna lose my money, I'm glad I got the entertainment value out of it. Bergs took some time off in the middle of the year for some mental problems, came back and he definitely maybe isn't 100% confident in himself in those clutch moments. Flavio pulled a lot of huge first serves out. We're definitely going to have to do a enunciation segment in the next episode because I'm not sure about Ciboli, Caboli. We'll figure it all out with all the players when our friend Ben comes on, the enunciation expert. But Italy, very impressive, pulling it out in the finals. Ciboli actually had a very impressive comeback there too. Berrettini took care of Pablo Carreño Busta pretty handily in straight sets, leaving Flavio to close it out to avoid having to go to doubles for a decider. In that match, Flavio was down a set and a break to Jaime Munar, who, in my personal opinion, has shown a propensity to give up a lot of leads, but was playing some great tennis. Lost his Zverev 7-6, 7-6, had a couple other big victories earlier in the tournament. And Flavio just fought hard. I think he actually won the last 2 sets 7-6, 7-6 after dumping the first set 6-1. And I mean, yeah, like grit and grind. Italy without Yannick Sinner, the very undeniable world number one, as we've discussed in previous episodes, still bringing home the victory. Last year, they actually leaned pretty heavily on Yannick. This year, they showed maybe that wasn't even necessary. Obviously, Spain without Carlos maybe put some questions as to how much the top players are able to value the Davis Cup with it coming right after the World Finals and with these players only having that month off to rest. But always fun to see the teams competing. I don't know how that little horn noise is always getting made, but there's always a lot of noise in the arena. It's always high energy. All the good players for each country on the sideline together, some of the legends of each country coaching the teams. It's definitely a fun, high level exhibition atmosphere at the least. So yeah, Italy's the favorite for the foreseeable future, and they've done a great job developing tennis players. Obviously, Spain as well. Germany's got a solid team. The US, if we put everybody out, always has an outside chance. So should be fun to see in years to come. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you that Italy continues to be the favorite next year. I mean, if you think about it, Sinner and Musetti, their top players weren't even competing in it. And then you have Ciboli and Berrettini. You also have the likes of Sonego, who didn't play a match. So very interesting to see who plays next year. Obviously, it's always at the end of the year, so you have notable people like Alcaraz missing from Spain. The result could have been very different if he had played. But on the
But also,
topic,
it's sorry, Edik. It's real quick. Worth noting as well. They have Bolelli and Vavasori as their doubles team, which are their doubles specialists who always go deep in Grand Slams. All of these top countries actually have a doubles team that plays together on a consistent basis and goes deep. Spain has Granollers and Ceballos. I'm sure I said that wrong. As Spain has Krautz and Putz. I'm sure I also said that wrong. I think I just said Spain. That would be Germany has them, and then Italy with Bolelli and Vavasori. When doubles makes up 1/3 of your total points, I think it's very important that you have that double specialist team. US last year actually straying away from their double specialists in a key moment. When we were coached by the all-time greatest doubles team ever, Bob and Mike Bryan, they pulled our double specialists and put singles players instead. We got killed, paid the price. So I think it's, very worth noting that having those double specialists who are comfortable with each other, very important. Also, as shown by when Irani and Vavasori dominated that mixed doubles US Open exhibition this year.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely was going to mention Vavasori was stable in the doubles world, having won the mixed doubles title at the US Open this year. Talking about Sinner, talking about Alcaraz, let's talk about next year, flip it forward a little bit more, and just have a quick discussion about who you think is the third most likely to win a Grand Slam. And I have someone in my head as a clear picture who I think is third most likely and should be put there for odds too. But I want to ask you first who you think is that person on the men's side.
Well, I want to start off by saying that you and I have about as good of a chance at winning a major next year as Zverev, Felix, and Wild the likes. At this point, I mean, I think it's probably one of the most discussed headlines in tennis that Zverev is the best player without a Grand Slam victory. He's been up in the top of the rankings for a decade, back from Rafa, Novak, and Roger into Carlos and Jannik. I think he's mentally just not capable anymore. I don't think he believes. And I mean, it's understandable. I mean, these pro athletes are much more mentally strong than the likes of myself, so I can't really put myself in their shoes, but it's got to be demoralizing. I know in the last episode we had discussed that Felix has been playing some great tennis lately, very solid all around, but I don't know if he has the variety or the upside in his game to really be able to take out one of those top two players. Um, hmm. I Sorry, I don't like to keep dead air going here on our podcast, but it's very difficult for me to really put anybody in that contention for being able to win it. I'd love to say that if Bublik wanted to try and really lock in, it could be his time just because he's shown that upside. I would put a prayer up that Rublev, who's beaten both of them before, could find some sort of form, but his major form has just been atrocious. I'm really just going to go with Taylor Fritz. I know that's probably a pretty lame answer, but Taylor's been incredibly close to Carlos in a couple majors, like tight 4-set losses, couple tiebreakers, incredibly solid game. His tennis IQ's been on show lately. He's been on some interviews and some podcasts really breaking down the game and the points and the way he thinks. Incredibly stiff competitor. He's kind of shown himself to have a leg up on the likes of Zverev and the likes of Felix, like even Tommy Paul, like some other guys that stick up there at the top. So he's definitely going to be deep in those majors into the semifinals, most likely in a couple, and have his chances. I'm going to say maybe he's just kind of whacks some aces, and who knows, Sinner gets hurt or something. Like Dimitrov almost had him last year. Can't forget that. But yeah, that was a whole lot of gibberish. We're just going to go with Taylor Fritz has the best chance, in my opinion, but I'm putting his chances of winning a major similar to the likes of a guy that's never touched a tennis racket before. It'll be Carlos and Jannik in all four finals, barring major injuries.
Interesting. So we took a roundabout way to get to Taylor Fritz, but in the end, you got there. For me, I would say it's Felix. I'm really high on Felix right now, and I'll tell you why. I think someone like Taylor, he has baggage and bad losses against Alcaraz. I know they're close, but he hasn't beaten him in a meaningful match. No, he hasn't beaten Sinner in a meaningful match. And for that matter, he hasn't beaten Djokovic in a meaningful match. So he would have to get through Djokovic as well. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think it'll take someone like Felix, who, yes, he's lost a lot to Sinner, but there is opportunity there, and he's only been getting better with, the years, and especially at the end of this year. I like his matchup against Alcaraz, especially on hard courts. He's been playing very well on hard courts, continuing that into the Australian Open. I'm not saying Felix for French Open, but certainly for the Australian Open and overall, I would put him as my number three.
I'm going to circle back real quick as I gather my thoughts a little bit more. I think that the best chance at Carlos Urianic not winning a major at somebody else doing it is that they get knocked out in an earlier round. I think that once you get to the finals, the experience is too much, the pressure mounts too highly. Like I know, like for example, I believe it was in the 2014 U.S. Open, that one Open where it was Kei Nishikori versus Marian Cilic in the finals, and they knocked out Roger and Rafa respectively in the semifinals. That was like kind of a way that a non-big three player won a major. I think that if we look back, it's probably more often that one of those big three players doesn't make the finals than that they make it and lose there. So it's probably going to be on the shoulders of a guy like Felix, Bublik, Fritz, Ben Shelton, a big server to just have an incredible day, win those tiny margins, take a match home against the Carlos Urianic, and really open up the draw for one of the others to take it home. I think that's probably the most likely way I see that happening.
Yeah, I like that point. I definitely think that that's a good point because once they get to the final, they have loads of experience as compared to these other guys. Fritz
Yeah,
only having made one final himself. But
yeah.
interesting discussion. Obviously, we'll see what happens next year. Turning to the WTA for a little bit, talking about the Grand Slams. Last year, we had four different Grand Slam winners: Keys, Goff, Swiatek, and Sabalenka.
Gigantic.
Yep, Swiatek. So my question to you is, will we have four different Grand Slam winners in 2026 on the women's side again?
I'm gonna go with no. The WTA is often shown incredibly large variety in terms of champions, in terms of players who make it deep in majors, a lot of surprise players making it deep. The first that comes to mind is Tatjana Maria, the slice first German who's in her mid to late 30s, making the semis at Wimbledon a couple years ago, which, in all credit to her, it's very impressive what she's done with her game. Genuinely felt like it was a tarnish on the game for her to make it that deep. But many times we're an unranked player, Leylah Fernandez making the final of the US Open back in 2020, losing to unranked qualifier Emma Raducanu. Obviously, both have shown to be very talented. But yeah, I mean, you see a lot of variety in the WTA here and there. Keys winning her first major out of nowhere. Anisimova coming close a couple times after starting the year relatively out of contention. But I think that Sabalenka and Iga just, they're still the top two players in the game. Anisimova is making a relative push, I believe, for number three at this point, and even over Coco. And Coco herself is obviously shown to be an incredibly clutch player in big moments, although she often kind of struggles to make it there, maybe somewhat like a Carlos, where like they lock in most when it matters most. But I think that Sabalenka or Iga winning two majors, more than likely Sabalenka, in my opinion, taking home the Australian Open and US Open is my most likely outcome for a repeat major winner. I think Anisimova at this point in this current state probably poses the biggest threat to her not doing that at the moment. Maybe Coco Gauff, and then Elena Rybakina obviously in there as well, and Iga. Those are probably our definitive top five. I'm going to leave Jess Pegula a little bit out of that range for right now. What do you think?
Yeah, I like that analysis for sure. I'm going to agree with you on this one and say one of the ladies will win two Grand Slams in 2026, but that lady will be Elena Rybakina, my one of my faves, and she's going to win two Grand Slams next year. And with that, we'll move on to the next section before Nathan,
Rybakina, Coach Edick. We had a whole section
before
on this.
it
Elena
doesn't matter,
Rybakina.
whatever you want to call
When
her,
she watches our
win.
podcast, she's going to care how you say her last name.
Elena is going to win two Grand Slams next year. Mark my
All
word.
right. I'm marking
Starting
them and I'm putting them on
starting
a
with
sheet
the
of paper
Australian Open.
and I'm balling that sheet of paper up and I'm throwing it right into the trash can where it belongs.
Starting with the Australian Open. Before Nathan could say anything else, we're going to move on to the next area, next topic, and that is the NCAA taking place at the USTA National Campus. We had singles and doubles titles on the lines this past weekend, and we had
Prediction.
a repeat on the men's side with Michael Zhang winning from Colombia. He's a two-time winner now. He's also top 200 in the world. So I know that you attended the event at Lake Nona,
Yes.
Florida. Shout out USTA at the national campus. Talk to me a little bit about
$3.
what you
Okay.
saw, and
Yeah.
did you enjoy the event?
So I did. I only went for the finals. I was a little bit busy earlier in the week, and obviously, I did have the pleasure of working there during the event. I wasn't too hands-on with the actual running of the event, but I was at the campus, like kind of helping around during the event the last couple of years. Got this, or back when they were running it back in 2022. They lost it for a couple of years. Now they have it signed on for a bunch of years going forward. I think it's great that they're having it at the national campus. We have obviously like they have 64 tennis courts, huge facilities, locker rooms, like a bunch to accommodate the players. The only thing that was a little bit unfortunate is that there's only about maybe 60 to 70 seats behind the actual court before things spread kind of up and back and out. So there wasn't great viewing for every single fan, and there was no intercom system, which is a little bit disappointing. I think that if you really want to get the people engaged, like a lot of people were having to communicate to each other as to what the score was or what was going on. It wasn't made super clear, the in and out calls, etc. In terms of the actual tennis, it was Michael Zhang and Trevor Spida, two guys on the Pro Tour. It's been discussed a lot that the NCAA might have to reconsider how they do the seeding for the tournaments now because the players are now able to play on the ATP Challenger Tour and the UTR Pro Series during the season to make some money. So Michael Zhang, for example, who's the second highest ranked player in men's college tennis behind Rafael Jodar, who did not participate due to not qualifying because he spent too much time on the Pro Tour, is the back-to-back champ and was pretty clearly the best player there. Trevor Spida is playing really aggressive, taking a lot of balls early. He's about, I believe, in the 400s in the world right now and should definitely rise. His brother Zach Spida also in the top 200. They train over at the campus. But yeah, Michael Zhang, like he didn't even show emotion when he won. And I mean, he's not a hugely emotional player, but he won, took a little minor fist bump. It was just another day at the office for him. He's probably not incredibly invested in the whole ordeal, spending a lot of the year away from the team, away from the school, playing on the Pro Tour. So yeah, I think it's maybe a little bit unfair for the players that had to play him earlier on, being that they worked really hard playing all these matches and tournaments to get a good seed just to draw the clear best player in the tournament. In terms of how it's run, obviously can always be improved, but they definitely had their stuff relatively on point. And I think it's really cool that the NCAA championships, men's, women's, singles, doubles for the individual and for the team are being made pretty accessible. Of course, the USTA national campus, in my personal opinion as a former employee, and this is something I expressed to them many times, do not maybe try incredibly hard in terms of marketing because they don't need to per se. So maybe like not as many people as could know about the event knew about it, but they don't really have the seating for it either unless they build a stadium. Still a good event. I had a good time. It was put on well. Tennis was good. And hopefully the NCAA finds a way to make it more fair for everybody in the draw going forward. Yeah.
Yeah, lots of good points there. I definitely agree with you that they've got to figure out how to manage players going on tour and also playing in college. Congrats to all the winners. I know that there were some talks at some point when I was leaving in 2024 that they were going to expand the campus specifically for the NCAA in terms of building more courts. Yet to be seen if
Yeah.
it's going to happen, but definitely
I don't
think
think that would be
that,
for a while. I think it
yeah.
would take a lot of time and money. These things move slowly.
Right.
But yeah, I had heard those talks as well of potentially more indoor courts and other facilities for that tournament. That's going to be for the team, though, not for those individuals.
Right.
Yeah,
So, want to get to our last topic of the day, and this is a
this is my
contentious
favorite one of the day.
contentious subject. Allow me to give the listeners a backdrop. So, Nathan and I have been discussing offline a young gentleman named Cruz Hewitt. The last name might ring a bell for you because his father, Lleyton Hewitt, Grand Slam champion, former world number one, famous player from Australia, and his son, who's I believe 16 years old, is currently on his way to becoming a good player. He is now 724 in the world. and
Represent.
he is playing a lot of challengers and just trying to climb the rankings like any other young junior would. Looks like as of now, he's trying to take the pro tour route rather than going to college, yet to be seen. But Nathan is a huge fan of Cruz Hewitt. It is
How's
also
it
to be
about a week and a
noted
half ago?
it is also to be noted that he was playing a challenger yesterday in Playford, Australia, and he did lose first round 5-2, and his UTR is about around a high 12. So
13.
he
Maybe
is
even higher. There's 13 now.
he's a 13 now. Okay. Well, you get the point. He's not a 15 or a 16 like the real pros. So I'm gonna
Fun.
flip this to you, Nathan. Feel free to discuss what you feel is necessary, but clearly you're a big fan, and I am not on the hype train yet.
Yeah, so I watched one of his matches like a week and a half ago, as I'll often do when it's late at night and I'm up having mild insomnia and wanting to put a couple dollars on a tennis match. And I watched him playing against Omar Jasika, another Australian, a lefty, who's been pretty poor recently, but had some good results. Cruz was down there a set and a break, saved 6 match points, I believe, ended up coming back and winning in 3 sets. I was very impressed by his backhand, the angles he was hitting, some forehands down the line he was pulling. He's got a good serve. I feel like there are certain things that I personally look for in a player when I think that they have the potential to make a huge rise up the rankings. I think that a lot of players play a relatively similar tennis game, and I think that's why a lot of players end up stuck in the same spot in terms of the ranking or in the same area. Like there are plenty of people that are solid in every aspect of the game, but maybe don't have any specific weapon that separates themselves from the rest of the pack, or they don't have like a level of consistency or creativity, how they see the game, whatever the case may be. I think he's definitely inherited. Obviously, he's not his father. He's not going to be world number one at some point. He's not winning majors from what it looks like. But he pulled some shots out of his bag that were more indicative of a player that really kind of sees the game more analytically, like maybe strategically a little bit stronger, has the ability to do some things that are above average for a player his level, where the consistency is the thing that's lacking. And it doesn't mean that he's going to develop the consistency. There are just some players that are inherently inconsistent. But being that he's 2 weeks away from being 17 years old and has those Lleyton Hewitt genetics in there, I think that he's poised to make a big rise up the rankings. I'll also say that a lot of these games, these matches he's losing, he's winning close to the same amount of points. He's currently kind of struggling to close a lot of games out, convert a lot of break points. I think that it really takes one good win or one good match to flip that switch. And I think that he's going to be given all the resources, all the wild cards, all of the benefits and the pushes that he needs, the training, the nutrition. Like he obviously is just going to have access to more than those around him due to his father's success. Kind of like the great Bronny James. I'm totally kidding. Bronny's not like that. But I do have him on my fantasy keeper team if we ever talk basketball someday. But I do think that Cruz Hewitt's going to make a rise up the rankings. December, as we've discussed, is kind of that month where the pro tennis tour is taking a break. And in lieu of that, there are a lot of challengers. My favorite thing to do is really look at some of the young players that are like maybe 16 through 18 that are up and coming and kind of have that ability to break through into the next season and see where there might be some value in a good prediction or good bet, whatever the case may be. And honestly, just like players that have that special talent are fun to watch because like watching them make that ascension is always fun. So yeah, I told Coach Edick over here that I thought Cruz Hewitt can make top 100. It's definitely bold and relatively unrealistic, but I'm going to make a big prediction. I'm going to stick to it. You want to put a little bit of green moolah on that, Coach Edick, or are we going to leave this to a gentleman's wager?
We can definitely talk about that in a second. One thing I wanted to piggyback off of what you're saying is definitely don't want to take away from him and what he's succeeded on the court and his results. Obviously, he's getting some opportunities that other people would not be privy to, given that his father is Lleyton Hewitt, although he does still have to go out there and win the matches. Having said that, though, you did mention he'll probably receive wild cards. I don't think he'll receive a wild card into the Australian Open. He may receive a wild card into the qualifiers or
Yeah.
be in the pre-qualifying draw. If I had to guess, he's been playing juniors last year. So, given that, he has the notoriety, he will be given opportunities. I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, he's not going to be top 100 next year. Let's be realistic here. There's people in the college ranks right now that are way better than him. Take Michael Zhang as an example. And it doesn't take anybody really good at tennis to notice he has a big hitch on his forehand. And I'm not saying that to criticize or to hate, but he's got a big hitch on the forehand where he, sort of curls the wrist back, maybe sort of like Kyrgios, but that, he hits it late often when people go hard to the forehand. Backhand is very nice. So sure, if you want to put something on it, we can put something on it, but are you sure you want to lose money when you know that that's not going to happen?
Just donating it to a friend in need. Things with my money before, trust me.
Okay, well, we'll see where Cruz Hewitt ends up. I believe that he'll probably end up in the 300s or the 400s.
I think that's a fair assessment. What do
Yeah,
we say? $25.
$25 if he ends 100 top
Or better.
100, top 100.
100 or better. Can buy you a sandwich in Philly, or it can buy me like a sandwich and a half down here in Orlando.
That's a deal. You got yourself a deal for sure. That's
All right.
easy money.
I'm
You
gonna
make-
buy I'm gonna buy myself the best Philly cheesesteak when I come up there on you
Okay.
when he reaches that top 100.
Okay, we got ourselves by the end of next December.
The end of the 2026 calendar season. He'll be
Okay.
making a push late in the year too. You're gonna be pissed when he's close and he starts just screaming challenger tournaments for the last 2 months while everybody else above him takes a rest.
Okay. Okay. We'll
Sweating
have to
bullets.
revisit that. We'll have to revisit that.
All right. You think it's time for a little drop or lob?
Let's do it. I've got a couple of good ones for you today. And the
That's
first one
good.
is
Because
building
I
off
didn't
of
look today.
what's that?
Usually, every other segment we've prepared for the questions, I did not look today. So
You
you're
did not
getting
look
me
good.
blind.
Good.
I'm
So
excited.
going off of what we were just talking about, drop or lob, being a professional athlete like Lleyton Hewitt and having your kid play the same sport that you did professionally.
I'm gonna go with lob. Honestly, like the genetics are there, the resources are there. Like, yeah, maybe forcing your kid to do something that you did to relive your own glory or whatever would be a bad thing, but plenty of people take over the family business in life. And I mean, to an extent, that's really what they're doing. They're just taking over the family business. The family business is just not like a construction company or like a restaurant. It's playing professional tennis or professional basketball or whatever the sport may be, professional baseball like the Griffeys did. So, I mean, if the kid's inspired enough, they got the talent, they're willing to put in the work. Why not let them give a rip at it? The great thing about professional sports as well is your career is done by the time you're like 40 and your life expectancy should be until like 80. So if they really hated it, they got like 40 years to go find something else they enjoy and they should have plenty of money and support to go do whatever else is they want to go do as well. So I'm a lock.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm going to agree with you on that one. All right. Second one, switching rackets or strings during the off season.
Gonna drop it. I've been using the same racket since 2013, and it's been working well for me. There's just something about that comfort, that familiarity of the same racket, year in year out, same strings. I don't even know what strings I use. My racket stringers do. Whenever they move, I'm gonna be a little bit screwed. I'll have to call RJ and bother him or Sean. But yeah, I mean, there's something about just having the ability to know exactly what you're going to get out of your equipment that allows you to focus on other areas and not have to continue to make adjustments. It's probably different for high level players than it is for someone like myself, but we're going to do this answer in the context of me. And I have a feeling you might have a different opinion on this one. So, what are you thinking, Coach?
No, actually, I'm gonna have to agree again. And actually, yesterday I just ordered from eBay another one of the Technofiber T-Fight 315 RS, which are the old
This
rackets.
podcast is sponsored by Technified.
I think the old rackets are better. I played with the Wilson Ultra Countervail for a while. I've tried new rackets, Dunlop, blah blah, Pure Drive, and it's just not the same. I like knowing exactly what shots I can hit and not being surprised. So I'm gonna agree with you on that one as well. A rare
Yeah,
agreement. All right,
yeah, two in a row.
number three. Taking a private jet as a professional tennis player with another professional tennis player. I saw pictures of Sinner and Zverev going together to the Maldives. You see that happening often when they finish a tournament and they go to another tournament together on the same plane. Would you do something like that?
Yeah, I love it. At the end of the day, like those are the same way that I discussed just now, taking over the family business with the kids coming after the parents. Like these are their coworkers. Their job is to compete and to entertain and to do that. But these are their coworkers. And a lot of people end up being friends with their coworkers because that's who they spend the most time around. And these guys, like we've discussed a million times, like, yes, they're competing in the Six Kings Slam and getting millions, and they're getting millions for the end of year rankings and millions for where they're landing in majors and whatnot. But costs are costs. Planes cost money, and they don't have to hate each other to be able to compete. Like, I think this is probably going to be a little bit of a weird parallel, but it's how my brain works. Like, actors go on set and have a fake relationship with somebody, and they come home and they have a real relationship with someone else. So, like, I think these guys can put professional competition and friendship off the court into separate categories. And if they want to have a good time and get along with each other and want to go vacation and party, as long as they're not doing some funny business on the court or trying less against their friends or fixing a match or whatever the case may be, go ahead and hang out with your coworkers outside of work if you get along with them. I mean, that's what we're doing right here. I mean, do we get along? That's a question for another day, but
Good
clearly we're
point.
doing something together.
Good point. I like that answer. All right, last question. Drop or lob? Taking a bathroom break during a match.
Drop it depending. Drop or lob there is going to be dependent. Um, Drop it if your ego and your bathroom break is 95% BS and you're just disappearing whenever a match isn't going your way to do whatever the hell it is she's doing back there. Because I just can't, unless you just get nervous when you're down and your tummy starts hurting because you're losing a match badly and you got to go to the bathroom. Like, it's definitely relatively convenient that she always needs a super long bathroom break whenever the momentum spikes against her. I'm a huge fan of her game, and I'm really not a hater. I know she has a lot of haters, but I'm going to call it how it is. Those bathroom breaks are bad. But if you got to, like, take a shit, take a bathroom break. Like, I know that Leonard Tien, for example, in the Australian Open this year, said that he tanked the fourth set against Daniil Medvedev because he just really had to go to the bathroom. And he was like, I just figured I'd try it in five because I was uncomfortable and I had to go. So I just kind of let him have the set and then came back out in set five and locked in. Won an Australian Open match against the defending almost champion. Did Daniil win the US or the Australian?
He's won the US Open.
He won the US Open. He almost won the Australian, but our GOAT had other plans, Rafa Nadal. For anybody that hasn't seen that, by the way, please look up 2021 Australian Open Rafa Nadal comeback. One of my favorite tennis clips of all time. But yeah, take a bathroom break if you got to go to the bathroom. But in terms of players, medical timeouts in general, kind of what you're getting at, I think it's a very touchy subject. I think that they can be used strategically and somewhat unfairly in terms of attempting to kill momentum. It's obviously very difficult because it's an individual sport and one player stops the match, the whole thing stops. And injuries, the only person that really knows if you're injured is you. So it's not like anybody else can really look and tell you definitively that they know you don't have a problem until they check you out or until you go do your thing. So, I mean, yeah, like I'd say drop it, but it's not going to change anytime soon.
Yeah, my answer would be my only advice as a coach and a former player, if you win a set, do not take a bathroom break before the next set. You blow all your momentum. I see people doing it all the time. Don't do it unless it's an urgent situation. You ride that momentum into the next set. Do not take a bathroom break after you win a set. But that's all for today. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, Nathan, for all your great insights. We'll be back next week with more analysis and more topics gearing up for the new season. And who knows, maybe by next week, Cruz Hewitt will be top 700. We'll see about
Maybe
that.
he will be. Maybe we'll get a guest that has their timing work with ours. And I'd just like to say that that's now 6 episodes we've made it through with no bathroom breaks. So that's it. That's one in the column of no bathroom breaks in the drop. Thank you to everyone that was listening. For everybody that wasn't, screw you. You missed out. And we'll see you guys next week, and we'll get back on that Sunday schedule. Everybody have a great day, including you, Eddick. You too. I do want you to have a good day as well, I promise.